राधावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so can someone remind me which text did we stop at last
I
time?
think text 8, Prabhu.
Completed text 8. We're now on text 9.
I think so.
Anyone
Yes.
else?
Yeah,
Confirm?
that's right. We need to start with 9 today.
Okay, wonderful. All right, I'm just going to share here. Okay, so text 9. Wait, sorry. This one doesn't have fonts. So we are starting with text 9 of the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrita. And as you can see, this is another section. So we've, completed talking about what things help devotional service, what things will hurt our progress in devotional service, the different levels and types of devotees, and how to relate with them. We also talked about the essence of all advice, which is chanting the holy name of Krishna, and what it takes to chant the holy name of Krishna. And now we go to what is the destination, prayojana? What is the goal? Sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. We started with how do we establish the sambandha, right? Those were the 6 things favorable and 6 things unfavorable. And the first verse, which is 6 things to avoid. Then we talked about the process of devotional service. How do we reach it? The essence of all advice. How to associate with devotees so that we can gain from their association, so that we can make advancement in spiritual life. And now we talk about prayojana, the place where we go to. Of course, chanting is also the prayojana, association is also the prayojana. But in one sense, this is talking about the spiritual world, Krishna's Dhamma, Krishna's abode. Also in the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami mentions 5 most potent items of devotional service, 3 most important and 5 most potent. And you can see how he's covering this in the Nectar of Instruction. I'll just plug in my charger very quickly. It's not just charging. So this here is the better and best places. So this is a very wonderful verse, a very famous verse where Rupa Goswami says that the highest destination far beyond this material world is Vaikuntha. Beyond that is Mathura. Beyond that is Vrindavan. Beyond that is Govardhan. And beyond that is Radha Kunda, the highest destination. So I'm just going to pull this up so we can read it. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan, because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve this divine Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? So Rupa Goswami has given us the different places, the different abodes of the Lord, and also explained why they are superior. Right? He's given very good reasons why they are superior. So he says Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha because this is Krishna's appearance place. It's his abode. And Vaikuntha is Lord Vishnu's abode, so that's already a given. He doesn't really explain that. He does. The transcendental world because the Lord appeared there, but he doesn't talk about Vaikuntha. He just says, Mathura is superior to Vaikuntha because Krishna actually appears there. How special Mathura is, right? The whole Vaikuntha is, Mathura is superior to the entire Vaikuntha. When we go to Mathura, we think, we rush to Vrindavan. Mathura itself is so exalted. Superior to Mathurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan. We go to Vrindavan, isn't it? People, they take the bus or the train to Mathura and then they immediately go to Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. In Vrindavan, in all the different forests of Vrindavan, Krishna performs so many different pastimes, but the Rasa Leela is the topmost. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill. So we think, well, what can be higher than Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes? But nothing is higher than that. But even though Krishna performs the Rasa Leela pastimes, there still Govardhan Hill is even superior because it's so exalted that Krishna lifts it with his own hand and was a site of his various loving pastimes. So many pastimes between Radha and Krishna happen in Govardhan Hill. Right? So it's not just that, Krishna lifted it and the Rasa Sthali is less important, but Krishna actually performs beautiful pastimes there on Govardhan Hill as well. For it was raised by the divine hand of Sri Krishna and was a site of his various loving pastimes. In the Krishna book, Prabhupada explains why Govardhan Hill is so exalted. Because Govardhan Hill particularly gives pleasure to all the devotees of Krishna. While other places and other, don't give so much happiness to devotees, but Govardhan Hill is like, it gives so much happiness to every devotee because it provides fruits, roots, and flowers for the service of Krishna, and it provides soft grass for the cows and calves. And Krishna's Go Brahmana Hitayacha, right? He loves the cows first and foremost, even more than the Brahmanas. Go Brahmana Hitayacha. So because he loves the cows, and Govardhan Hill provides soft grass. Generally, mountains or hills don't provide that grass, but Govardhan Hill is so special. Therefore, it's so exalted, even more than Vrindavan. And Prabhupada there points out to us that this shows that Govardhan knows how to serve Krishna. He knows what is the best way to please Krishna. The best way to please Krishna is to please his devotees. Right? So by pleasing Krishna's devotees, we can please Krishna the most. And Govardhan Hill is the most expert in doing that. Therefore, it is most dear to Krishna. And within Govardhan Hill, because this is actually now Govardhan Hill. This is when you do parikrama. We do parikrama of Govardhan Hill, but in Govardhan, there's many spots that come. Even there, within Govardhan Hill, the most super excellent place is Sri Radha Kunda, because it stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula. Sri Krishna. So then Rupa Goswami ends by saying, who is that unwilling person who is unwilling to serve Sri Radha Kunda? Who is that person who will be unwilling to serve Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? So among all the places, even more auspicious than Vrindavan, even more auspicious than Govardhan Hill, is Radha Kunda. So when we do Braj Mandal Parikrama, we visit all these places and gradually work our way up to Radha Kunda. Now, of course, that's just in terms of visiting, but to actually, be there is another thing. Of course, that doesn't mean that the place itself will not affect us, and that's why we visit there. But Hanumat Preshik Maharaj, he distinguishes between being on the dham and being in the dham. Right? When we go there, we can sometimes be present on it, but there's a glass film that's dividing us between the dham, or not just a glass film, maybe a wooden film or something. We cannot see the full dham. We just see the apparent manifestation, kind of what's apparent to us. Prabhupada says, the spiritual world is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual world is naturally superior to the material world. However, Mathura and the adjoining areas, although appearing in the material world, are considered superior to the spiritual world. How fortunate we are. How can we miss this opportunity? Which appear in the material world are considered superior to the spiritual world because the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared at Mathura. The interior forests of Vrindavan are considered superior to Mathura because of the presence of the 12 forests, such as Talavan, Madhuvan, and Bahulavan. So Vrindavan refers to the 12 forests of Vrindavan, and in the 12 forests of Vrindavan, there's also a Vrindavan forest, which are famous for the various pastimes of the Lord. Thus, the interior Vrindavan forest is considered superior to Mathura, but superior to these forests is a divine Govardhan Hill. So, yes, because Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill like an umbrella, raising it with his lotus-like beautiful hand to protect his associates, the denizens of Raja. And then Prabhupada explains more what I had just talked about. Okay, so back to the slides. So here are the different places. So this Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, is 3/4 of the total creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is the most exalted region. The spiritual is naturally superior to the material world. Mathura, Krishna appeared there. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha, the transcendental world, because the Lord appeared there. Vrindavan is superior to Mathura, is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes. And we just read this in Prabhupada's purport. Superior to Vrindavan is Govardhan. Krishna raised it with his hand and the site of frequent intimate pastimes. So Rasa Leela is, in some ways the most celebrated, but there's pastimes that are even more intimate than the Rasa Leela pastimes, and those are happening in Govardhan. It is also at Govardhan Hill that Krishna tends the cows with his cowherd friends, and there also he had his rendezvous with his most beloved Sri Radha and engaged in loving pastimes with her. Govardhan Leela is very dear to the devotees because it's the one pastime in which for 7 days and 7 nights they get to see Krishna nonstop. Right? Just like when the deities are very beautifully decorated, we just want to sit in front of them and stare at them. But we're still in our material conditioning, we still don't see spiritual form, and still we want to do this. Imagine if we can actually see Krishna in a spiritual form, face to face, right? It would take at least 7 days for us to get a proper glimpse of the Lord. And so the gopis are always criticizing these eyelids that, they close. And so we're not able to see Krishna without any disturbance. They're always complaining, all the residents of Vrindavan, that they see Krishna, but then he leaves. We're not able to see Krishna uninterrupted. But in Govardhan Leela, Krishna fulfills their deep desire to see Krishna uninterrupted. And everyone together, like, when Krishna's with the gopis and the cowherd boys can't be there, when he's with the cowherd boys and the cows and the gopis aren't there, Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai are not there because he's out tending the cows. Then when he's with Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda back home, then the gopis and the cowherd boys are not there. So it's one or the other. But in this pastime, everyone is there. And everyone together must glorify Krishna. There's no feeling, even amongst the gopis and, their families, that, oh, they're hiding, or they need to take permission, or they're doing something wrong. Because everyone can see that their life has been saved by Krishna, right? So normally, they're getting in trouble, and so they have to do it shyly or in a secretive way. But here, everyone can express their love openly because this is the one boy who saved everyone's lives. And guess what? He just lifted a huge, massive hill to save their life. And that is Govardhan Leela. And above all is Radha Kund, as dear to Krishna as Radha. So it's said that Radharani's love is imbued in Radha Kunda, right? It's overflowing with her love. And by bathing in Radha Kund, one can get the same love for Krishna, the same type of love for Krishna as Radharani has for Krishna. Above all, the super excellent Sri Radha Kund stands supreme, for it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian prema of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. The importance of this to Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Rupa Goswami has given much stress to Radha Kunda because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it. Who then would give up Radha Kund and try to reside elsewhere? No person with transcendental intelligence would do so. The importance of Radha Kunda, however, cannot be realized by other Vaishnava Sampradayas, nor can persons uninterested in the devotional service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understand the spiritual importance and divine nature of Radha Kunda. Thus, Radha Kund is mainly worshipped by the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the followers of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, very important point here that there's 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas, and they're all, leading to Vishnu or Krishna. They're Vaishnavas. Sri Sampradaya is worshipping Lord Vishnu, not very concerned with the worship of Krishna. The Madhva Sampradaya, that's not the Gaudiya Madhva Sampradaya, but just the Madhva Sampradaya, is worshipping Krishna, but they don't worship Radharani. They just have, Krishna, and that's Krishna worship. But it's introducing Krishna worship, which is very nice. The Vallabha Sampradaya, they are worshipping Krishna, but primarily in Vatsalya Ras. Vallabhacharya says that the highest realization of Krishna is Mother Yashoda and Krishna. Her love is the supermost. And the highest rasa is Vatsalya Ras. Krishna's parents' love for Krishna. The Nimbarka Sampradaya is worshipping Radha and Krishna, the only other Sampradaya that worships Radha and Krishna. But their focus on the service of Radha and Krishna is Radha and Krishna in union. Radha and Krishna together. And they always worship and see the highest, rasa to be Svakiya Ras, with Radha and Krishna together in their loving pastimes. I know, yeah, yes, and just think about the word, and then the highest rasa, even beyond that, is love and separation, and that love and separation, that spiritual rasa, is only there in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It's only taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore, Radha Kund, it's that the ambrosia of that love of Krishna, love of Srimati Radharani for Krishna, which is that mood of separation, which she is continuously feeling. And so this is what is happening. This is the highest realization. This is the highest ambrosia of love of Godhead. And that was therefore searched out by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu particularly was trying to find Radha Kund. And while the Goswamis found the other places of pilgrimage in Vrindavan, they found the other places of pilgrimage. They excavated the different places of the Lord's pastimes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally found Radha Kunda. He identified the location, he found it, and then he began to roll and jump in the waters of Radha Kunda, which at that time was a small little lake because it had not been maintained. So he finds it, and that's why it's being mentioned here, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to find it and his exhibition of ecstasy there gave the indication to Rupa Goswami that Radha Kund is the supermost place, because this is Srimati Radharani's Kunda. This is her heart, her love for Krishna, which is the highest love, is flowing here in Radha Kunda. So after describing the different levels of dhamas, then he talks about the different levels, not levels, the different, you could say, different types of devotees and their relative intimacy with the Lord. So we will actually come back to Radha Kund. There's more to discuss on this. But because we're going to come back to it, that's why we're not discussing more right now. But there's actually quite a bit more to be said at this point that comes to mind, but we'll wait on that. So this is the next verse, better and best people. So this is the gradation of better and best people. You have the karmis, the jnanis, the muktis, the bhaktas, prema bhaktas, the gopis, and Srimati Radharani. So you have the karmis, you have beyond them are the people who have given up, renounced jnana, those who have received liberation. Higher than those are the devotees, then the prema devotees, the gopis, and Radharani. Okay, so once again, we'll read the verse. I should have put the verse in the slides, but just forgot here. Next verse is just the way that Prabhupada writes it is more special to read it. In the Shastra, it is said that of all types of fruited workers, he who is advanced in knowledge of the higher values of life is favored by the Supreme Lord Hari. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, the jnanis, one who is practically liberated by virtue of his knowledge, may take to devotional service. He is superior to others. However, one who has actually attained prema, pure love of Krishna, is superior to him. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental coward boy. Among the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the most dear to Krishna. Her Kunda lake is as profoundly dear to Lord Krishna as this most beloved of the gopis. Who then will not reside at Radha Kund and in a spiritual body surcharged with ecstatic devotional feelings, aprakrita bhava, render loving service to the divine couple Shri Shri Radha Govinda, who perform their Ashtakalya Leela, their eternal eightfold daily pastimes. Indeed, those who execute devotional service on the banks of Radha Kunda are the most fortunate people in the universe. So this verse talks about the different levels of devotees, but it still ends with Radha Kund again. Because the Radha Kund is the highest place, because the highest devotee and the dearest devotee is Srimati Radharani, who is the most dear to Krishna, even among the gopis. So back to our slides here. So we find, first of all, on the first level, Prabhupada writes in the purport, on this planet we find many businessmen, politicians, and others who are simply interested in material happiness. They attempt to earn money by all means, not considering whether such means are pious or impious. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. Such people are called karmis or gross materialists. So this is, the normal world. Of course, lower than these are the demons who are like not just working for material happiness, but trying to destroy others, kill others. But Rupa Goswami, obviously that's all that's there. He just started with the karmis, the karma kandis, the karmis who are enjoying this material world, sometimes trying religious means of enjoyment. So that's where we begin with. Beyond the karmis are the jnanis. Sorry. Out of thousands and even millions of ignorant people who are wasting their time simply gratifying their senses, one may come to the platform of knowledge and understand higher values of life. Such a person is called a jnani. So after, so much effort, all these things, we are wasting our time in so many different ways. We come to the realization that all this material advancement, what did it do for me? Nothing. Nothing. All this competition at work and trying to rise to the boss level, what did it do for me? Nothing. I got nothing from it. So let me find out the truth. Let me find out what is the purpose of life. What is the end goal of life? So those were the muktis. So once a person becomes a jnani, after many years or lifetimes of being a jnani, one may become realized. One renounces the world, one becomes spiritually, enlightened, and one focuses 100% on spiritual life, and we get liberation. Out of many such people who are advanced in knowledge, the jnanis, some may be practically liberated, not completely liberated, because without bhakti, you cannot be completely liberated. You fall down again. Without bhakti, you could only get impersonal liberation. And impersonal liberation means you fall down again. They may be practically liberated, Prabhupada says, by virtue of their knowledge. By virtue of that knowledge, they turn away from this world. They're not harassed by the material miseries anymore. Yet they are also not spiritually satisfied. They're in that limbo state of just experiencing some relief from material problems and some spiritual bliss, but no real relationship with Krishna. And beyond the muktis are the bhaktis, the bhaktas, those who do devotional service. Devotees, however, although a jnani may be liberated from the ignorance of the karmis, unless he comes to the platform of devotional service, he is still considered to be in ignorance, avidya. So, a jnani is still in ignorance because they have jnana that this material world is nothing, but they don't have the jnana of the Lord, of the heart of the Lord. So that's ignorance. They still don't have that jnana, that knowledge about the heart of the Lord. When a jnani takes to devotional service, he rapidly becomes superior to an ordinary jnani. Such an advanced person is described as jnana vimukta bhakti parama. A person is wise when he surrenders unto the lotus feet of Krishna. But such a Mahatma, great soul, is very rare. So such a Mahatma is very rare. It says, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samhatma Sudurlabha. Krishna says in the Gita that after many lifetimes and lifetimes of cultivating jnana, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samhatma Sudurlabha. One comes to realize that Vasudeva is everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Samhatma Sudurlabha. Such a Mahatma is very rare. It's very, very rare. So out of thousands of jnanis, and after so many lifetimes of being a jnani, one person comes to the realization, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is everything. Let me surrender unto him. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So, and among the bhaktas, we have so many devotees in our movement. We have so many, different types of devotees, not just in our movement, but we have bhaktas in, different sampradayas, right? We talked about the 4 different sampradayas, and they're all bhaktas. They're all devotees of the Lord. But among millions of such bhaktas, only one or a few are able to reach the Prema Bhakti platform. Very hard to reach that platform. After taking to devotional service under the regulated principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead, following in the footsteps of great devotees like Narada and Sanaka and Sanatana. So, we have the platform Vaidhi Bhakti, regulated devotional service, and that's where most of us are at. If we practice that very nicely and with full devotion, we come to the platform of Nishtha, firm faith in the Lord. And moving beyond that, we come to the platform of Raganuga Bhakti. So Raganuga Bhakti, the spontaneous platform, is itself very hard to reach. How many of us spontaneously are attracted to serving Krishna and may have realized our eternal relationship with Krishna? How many devotees have realized their eternal Swarupa? Any devotees on this call? Please raise your hand. And among those, the Prema Bhakta is the highest. I mean, just coming to that platform. Then above that is, Ruchi, Asakti. Then, more condensed. It may take lifetimes actually to move from these stages. And then above that is Bhava Bhakti. And then after Bhava is Prema. And the Prema Bhakta, he is, coming to that level is so difficult. It's so rare. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then recognizes him to be superior. The devotees who have developed love of Godhead are certainly in an exalted position. The devotees who have developed love of Godhead are certainly in an exalted position. How exalted they must be. The Prema Bhakta, how special, how close they may be. Among all these people, we have, among millions upon millions of people, there's one Prema Bhakta. Billions, right? There may be one Prema Bhakta. So how special that is to the Lord. And among the Prema Bhaktas, they are aspiring, Gopi Bharatu Padakamalyor Das Das Anudas, they are aspiring to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. So how exalted the gopis must be. Of all these devotees, of all these Prema Bhaktas, the gopis are recognized as superior because they do not know anything other than satisfying Krishna, nor do the gopis expect any return from Krishna. They are truly selfless bhaktas, right? Prema bhaktas. They expect no return. Krishna neglects them. Krishna leaves them. Just to show the greatness of their love, Krishna left them for 100 years. Right? He's there even more so. He was there until the age of 16 or even less. I can't remember now. It's slipping, but I remember the age. And then he left, and then Krishna came back after almost 100 years, right? And met them, and then he left again. So the gopis, they are, of course, they were never separated from Krishna. Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. But externally speaking, the separation was there. Yet their devotion for Krishna was unmoved. It was uninterrupted. Every day, the whole Vrindavan would be decorated. They would put flowers on the road, and they would, glorify, they would decorate the whole of Vrindavan because Krishna said that one day he will come back. So we want to prepare for the day that he comes back. We want to be ready and prepared for his return. And they're especially doing this, making a festive mood in Vrindavan, so that when Krishna returns, he does not feel bad that we were, dying out of separation from him. So they loved Krishna so much that death was easier for them than living. They would prefer to die in that separation. However, they thought in their mind that if we die and Krishna comes back, then Krishna will feel unhappy. So just for Krishna's pleasure, they decided to stay, decorate, and live. And so even their living was an offering to Krishna, right? When we really love someone, then at least we want to know how much we're suffering without them, right? Someone goes and we come back, we have a long face and we cry, how much you left me, and you're so harsh and you left me. At least we want them to know how much we're suffering for them. But the gopis' love for Krishna was so pure, it is so pure that they did not even want him to know how much she is suffering. They simply they simply wanted Krishna. They simply wanted Krishna to guide them and to help them in increasing their love for him. Right? Krishna should just come back and be happy and see that we've been waiting for him and feel a festive atmosphere when he returns. Indeed, sometimes Krishna puts them into extreme suffering by separating himself from them. Nonetheless, they cannot forget Krishna. And still they're thinking of how to please Krishna. And then out of all of these exalted gopis, Srimati Radharani is the highest. No one can excel the devotional service of Srimati Radharani. Right? So among all the gopis, Radharani is the highest. No one can excel her service because she is completely competent of serving Krishna completely. It is simply that we want to assist her. That's why we have some service. But she is so perfect in her devotion. She is Krishna's own reflection. So who can serve Krishna other than Krishna himself? And as Srimati Radharani, Krishna is complete in serving himself. And she is the most exalted. Indeed, even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took her position and appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just to understand her transcendental feelings. Even Krishna cannot understand the attitude of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, he took the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just for Srimati Radharani, just to understand her feelings. He appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radharani never appears as Krishna to understand his feelings. He appears as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand her feelings, because her feelings are higher. She feels a greater happiness in serving Krishna than Krishna feels in loving Radharani. Her happiness is greater than Krishna's happiness. So therefore, the Goswamis, all the Vaishnavacharyas, they aspire for the service of Radharani, not of Krishna. Therefore, they say the queen of Vrindavan is Radharani. She is the queen. She's, for them, the topmost object of worship, because she possesses something that even Krishna aspires for. Of course, she is worshipping Krishna. She is loving Krishna. So Krishna is always the object of all worship. He is he is a supreme object of worship, not Radharani. But we're aspiring for the service of Radharani, for, in some ways, the worship of Radharani, because she is serving Krishna so nicely. Shri Radhakund, just as Srimati Radharani is dear to the Supreme Lord Krishna, Vishnu, so her bathing place, Radhakund, is equally dear to Krishna. So if she is so exalted, then naturally her bathing place, her kunda, that she manifested, must be the highest place. If she's the highest person in one way, then her place must be the highest place. Why is Radhakund so exalted? The lake is so exalted because it belongs to Srimati Radharani, who is the most beloved object of Sri Krishna. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved. Among all the gopis, she is the most beloved to Krishna. Similarly, her lake, Sri Radhakund, is also described by great sages as a lake that is as dear to Krishna as Radha herself. Indeed, Krishna's love for Radhakunda and Srimati Radharani is the same in all respects. And what is the result of bathing in Radhakunda? It is recommended that one should live on the banks of Radhakund and should be absorbed in the loving service of the Lord. One should bathe there regularly and give up all material conceptions, taking shelter of Sri Radha and her assistant gopis. If one is thus constantly engaged during his lifetime, after giving up the body, he will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the banks of Radhakunda. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhakund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. So special. Prabhupada here is saying, so if one lives on the banks of Radhakund and absorbed in the loving service of the Lord there, and bathes regularly there, giving up material conceptions, that is the way to increase our love for Krishna. If one does that constantly, he will return back to God and serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life. Now, the trick here is, Prabhupada explains, what does it mean to actually live on the banks of Radha Kund and contemplate, Radha Kund throughout one's life. Living on the banks of Radha Kund doesn't necessarily mean actually physically living there. For us, especially right now, because though we will live on the banks of Radha Kund right now, our mind will be in MTV, Disney, and all those things will go on. And you see this in Vrindavan. People are living in Vrindavan, yet they have a TV at home and they're watching all these different channels. Or they're living in Vrindavan, they're browsing. So just living in Vrindavan, you live there for more than a week and your mind just goes like this. And sometimes people perform more sinful activities in Vrindavan than they even do outside of Vrindavan. So what does it mean to live on the banks of Radha Kund and contemplate Radha Kund during one's lifetime? It means serving Radha Kund. And what does it mean to serve Radha Kund? To serve Radha Kund means to serve the pure devotees who eternally reside on the banks of Radha Kund. Who is one devotee who eternally resides on the bank of Radha Kund? Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is directly connected with Radha Kunda. And when we are serving Srila Prabhupada, when we are serving his mission and his movement, then we are living on the banks of Radha Kunda. When we are serving his desire, then we're actually living on the banks of Radha Kunda. Srila Prabhupada, there's this very nice story. You may think, is Srila Prabhupada living on the banks of Radha Kund or is he not? So there's once a devotee. This story was shared in our WhatsApp groups in the Naperville Temple WhatsApp group. So there's one devotee, she was distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And pretty much over the course of her life, 20, 30 years, she was distributing Prabhupada's books. And at a certain point, things got sour. Someone made accusations against her and this and that. And so she left it and she said, enough is enough. I've done so much book distribution, so much service. And now I will go and reside at Radha Kunda. So very nice, like she performed so much service, And book distribution, she really loved it. You know, she could feel a lot of ecstasy in distributing Prabhupada's books. But because of this specific situation, she felt a little sour in, you know, her association where she was living, and she went to Radhakund. She moved there. And then she started associating with some of the Radhakund Babajis. And she, stopped reading Prabhupada's books and kind of disconnecting with ISKCON and Prabhupada and more associating with the Radhakund Babajis. But remember, this is after a lifetime of service to Srila Prabhupada. But she started to think that maybe now, all that lifetime of service is leading me to this, to the Radhakunda Babajis and to Radhakund. This is now the next step. And I was on the lower step, and this is now the next step, the higher step, as often preached to ISKCON devotees. And so she, one night was sleeping, and she had a dream. And in that dream, she saw Srila Prabhupada. And when she saw Srila Prabhupada, she saw him, and he was there on the banks of Radhakund. And he was throwing hundreds of conditioned souls into Radhakund, and he was pulling them out from the depths of the material world. Like, this Prabhupada was also, he was kind of like coming out in that dream from the most darkest region of the material world with these conditioned souls, and he's throwing them into Radhakund. And then in that dream, he tells her, he says, why have you stopped helping me taking people to Radhakund? Why have you stopped helping me in getting people to throw them into Radhakund so they can be submerged in this nectar of Radhakund? This is a true story. It seems like, so almost cinematic, but this is exactly what she dreamt. She shared it with everyone. And this was a lady who had left ISKCON and was with Radhakund Baba. She's very satisfied there. She had no reason to make this up. It wasn't like she was an ISKCON devotee, and she was at that time an ISKCON devotee, and she was saying this to put down, something else or to keep people. No, she had already left. She was happy there with the Radhakund Babaji's whatnot. And then she came back to ISKCON, and she came back to her service, and to this day, she's distributing Prabhupada's books. She's on the street again, distributing Prabhupada's books to this day, and will probably do it until the last day of her life. Ganapati Swami, he used to tell me that I feel more spiritually inspired when I'm on the table distributing books than when I visit Vrindavan Dham. He visits every year because Prabhupada has told us all of us should go there every year. But he says that I actually, when I'm in Vrindavan, I wait to go back to my book table. He distributes books at the Grand Canyon every summer, and now his health is very fragile, so he can't travel and distribute. But Grand Canyon is summer all year long, right? So he has a table there. He's in one place, and he continues doing it. And there's no ecstasy in this world that's higher than that. So Nectar of Instruction, right, is giving us this knowledge. So if we're distributing Nectar of Instruction to others, right, Nectar of Instruction is what's telling us about Radhakund. So if we're giving this book to others, isn't that service to Radhakund? Wouldn't that be service to Radhakund? So this is what it means. If one is constantly engaged during his lifetime, constantly engaged means giving Nectar of Instruction to everyone by distributing the book or by teaching it to others, right? Like so many devotees are doing in this movement, sharing the knowledge of Nectar of Instruction to the whole world. Madan Gopal Prabhu has also started this seminar series where he's further expanding and diving into Nectar of Instruction. So that is service. That is constantly engaging, contemplating on Radhakund. That person will return back to Godhead to serve Sri Radha in the same way as he contemplated during his life on the banks of Radhakund. This, of course, doesn't mean that the specific significance of the banks of the Radhakund goes down. But like Hanuman Swami said, being on it or in it, if we're going to go to the banks and there just to collect money or followers or fame or prestige, and our mind is not there in Radhakund, we are not living on the banks of Radhakund. Even it said Narad Muni, Shiva, and Brahma, they aspire to go to Radhakund. So going to Radhakund can't be ordinary. If we can take a flight and go there, then Narad Muni could clearly, just walk over there. He's a traveling spaceman. But even he aspires to go to Radhakund. What does that mean? That to reach Radhakund is not an ordinary thing. But we can contemplate and serve Radhakund. The conclusion is that to live on the banks of Radhakund and to bathe there daily constitute the highest perfection of devotional service. So one who is serving Radhakund is bathing there and living there daily. Living entities who are eager to return home to the transcendental kingdom of God, Golok Vrindavan, by means of attaining their spiritual bodies, Siddha Deha, should live at Radhakund, taking shelter of the confidential serving maids of Sri Radha, and under their direction, engage constantly in her service. So, Prabhupada here is speaking about something where he often doesn't talk about that much, but he does here because this is, the place. And he says one can attain one's Siddha Deha, one's spiritual body, by this process. If we're really, really serious, we should always meditate and focus on Radhakund. Take shelter of the gopis there. We talked about this in the Nectar devotion classes. Ragatmika bhaktas. The Raganuga bhaktas should take shelter of the Ragatmika bhaktas. And the Raganuga bhaktas, they take shelter of the manjaris or the gopis of Sri Radha to develop that mood of Parakya Bhava that's there. And of all the worlds, Radhakund is most blessed. Karmis to bhaktas, her prema is best. Serve her and her kunda, Lord Krishna you'll meet. So to end, and we are on the last verse of Nectar of Instruction. We will read the last verse. We already talked about it because it flowed from this verse, right? So this verse 10 ends with Radha Kunda here. Verse 10 ends with Radha Kund, and then 11 talks about it even more. So imagine, just let's think about this 1 minute before we read the translation. How important is Radha Kund for devotees and Gaudiya Vaishnavas that Rupa Goswami, in a book that's only 11 verses, and that is summarizing his 11,000 verses, which are the essence of all bhakti, he is spending 3 verses talking about Radha Kund. And the first 2, partially, Radha Kund is part of a list. But then the last one here is fully dedicated only to Radha Kunda. And this is where Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada in the purport talk about what we talked about before in the slides. Of the many objects of favored delight, and of all the lovable damsels of Rajabhumi, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most treasured object of Krishna's love. And in every respect, her divine kunda is described by great sages as similarly dear to him. Undoubtedly, Radhakund is very rarely attained, even by the great devotees. Therefore, it is even more difficult for ordinary devotees to attain. If one simply bathes once within those holy waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. Undoubtedly, Radhakund is very rarely attained even by the great devotees. And if one bathes even once within those waters, one's pure love of Krishna is fully aroused. Now, some of us, on the day of the appearance of Radhakund, may have bathed in Radhakund. But the fact is that even though we bathed, our full love for Krishna has not been fully aroused. So that means that we bathed, but we didn't truly bathe. And that's the principle of on the dham or in the dham. And so Prabhupada in the purport, he has an extensive discussion on whether or not we should bathe or not bathe. He says even Narad Muni, Lord Shiva, they aspire to bathe in Radha Kund. And if bathing in Radha Kund gives one's love of God, then why wouldn't every devotee go there and jump in? Like in that dream, we saw Prabhupada throwing people into Radha Kund. Why wouldn't we do that? Because Prabhupada himself said that right now we are not qualified to bathe. We must bathe, but bathing means also to be qualified to be bathe. Right now, when we bathe in Radha Kund, we may commit offenses in the Kunda. And this is a fact. Even inside the Kunda, when we bathe, we commit offenses because this is the body of Srimati Radharani. And if our heart and our life is not pure, we are putting our feet on the body of Srimati Radharani. So how can we do that? So therefore, Prabhupada said, bathing also means doing achman. And if you put 3 times on your head, that is bathing. And so generally speaking, that's what we do. Because we don't want to, you see some of the locals and they're Brajavasis, so that's okay because they're Brajavasis. But they're swimming there, they're cleaning their clothes there. This is, we're not doing it in the right mood if we do that also. Because we're not Krishna's intimate family members right now. We have to purify our heart first. And so Prabhupada said, do the achman. And then once a year, on the appearance day of Radha Kund, everyone is allowed to bathe. That is the day when, there's no stoppage to the flow of mercy. Otherwise, not just Radha Kund, but in general in Vrindavan, sometimes we can come, even though it's so purifying, we can commit more offenses than the purification that we get. And this is why even the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not visit. Oh, sorry, none of you told me. I didn't share the screen. I opened it, but I didn't share the screen. Or did I? Did you see this? Okay. Now you see it. Even the devotees, they sometimes, Lord Chaitanya's associates would not go to Vrindavan. They were with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but they wouldn't go because they're so afraid to go. They said, if I go and I'm not qualified, I'll make some offense there. And so many devotees, you see this, they go in Vrindavan and they come out worse because they made more offenses, too many offenses, right? And that's why Mayapur is our place, because Mayapur, anyone can go and there's no offense because it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dham. And Prabhupada, that's why I said, go first to Mayapur and then to Vrindavan. By going to Mayapur, we get, kind of washed of our offenses, then we go to Vrindavan. But even there, one has to be very careful we don't make offenses because this is Krishna's own personal place, right? If we do something wrong, we're creating a disturbance. And today there's skyscraper buildings, there's a water park in Vrindavan, like all things going on. So what happens? The dham just covers itself. It's not the dham's loss. It's not Vrindavan dham's loss. It is our loss. The more offenses are committed there, the more it's built up, and the more people, perform sinful activities in the dham. The dham closes. It's like a lotus. It's open, but then it closes. And then people cannot see it. They see it less and less. But the pure devotee, no matter how much it closes externally, can access Vrindavan. And that's why we have to be a little purified to go there. But by Prabhupada's mercy, in his Krishna Balaram temple, every person can access Vrindavan. And that's why Prabhupada said that once a year we should go to Vrindavan. Once a year, all of us should visit Vrindavan. And actually, I'm preaching to myself because I go every year, but this year I didn't go. Somehow I didn't go. That's partly due to what the problems happening on the border, Trump administration, this, that. But now I'm feeling it, especially after these verses, feeling that, we should go because this reminds us of the goal. It purifies our heart. It's so purifying going to Vrindavan. If we stay there for a short time, if we stay too long, then we get into offenses. But Prabhupada said, go for a short time and then come back to your service. My Guru Maharaj would also say this. He would tell everyone to come, but after 1 week, he would be like, now, why are you here? We're like, well, we're just absorbing Vrindavan. I said, no, go back, do your service, keep to your service, because, and you'll see that yourself. Some problems come, you get sick, diarrhea, and then your consciousness changes. You start to treat Vrindavan like an ordinary place, and that's the sign that, okay, my mind is not focused fully on Vrindavan. So this is the thing, and when I did Brajmandal Parikrama, I had the opportunity to do it a few times. One of the things that I noticed was this gradation of places and how it takes qualification. The first time I did Brajmandal Parikrama, I did the first 10 days, I got really sick. And I missed the part on Govardhan and Radhakunda. The second time I did it and I managed to complete Govardhan Parikrama, and the next day is Radhakund. But just the night of Govardhan Parikrama, I got so sick, like literally hospital sick, that I had to go to the hospital and couldn't do the next day Parikrama of Radhakund. The third time that I went, I was able to do Radhakund in the whole thing, just the Parikrama, just to even be there. Again, all three were completely on the external level, no realization. But even on the external level to do it, it took 3 times to actually go and even visit Radhakund. So going to Radhakund is never about buying a ticket and visiting there. Only if Krishna wants, we can actually go there. If Krishna doesn't want, we can buy 1,000 tickets, we won't make it there. Our ticket won't fructify. I remember one year we were trying to go, and there were riots in Vrindavan. We had to cancel our plans. So due to Prabhupada's mercy, we go to Radhakund, we go to Vrindavan, and we think that, oh, it's easy, anyone can go. But it's due to Prabhupada's mercy, it seems so easy. But Brahmanda Brahmita Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasad by Bhakti Lata Beach. There's billions and trillions of souls in this world. How many of them are able to go to Vrindavan? So it's not an ordinary thing to go to Vrindavan. It's only because of the unlimited mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we are able to go, and that millions of Delhiites are able to go, because he made it so famous that people there want to go, and that's the perfection of their life, that they can visit Vrindavan once in their lifetime. And even so, Krishna Balaram temple. Aindra Prabhu said that Prabhupada said that he put the entire Vrindavan Dham within the 4 walls of the Krishna Balaram temple. And so now if you go to Vrindavan, you just see concrete and big skyscraper buildings. Like, it's very easy to go into the material mindset, and you don't see Vrindavan. But we will always have access to Vrindavan. Prabhupada saved it in his temple there. And it's true, you go there and you have darshan of Radha Shyama Sundar, you have darshan of Krishna Balaram, and it's like you're transported to a different world. There's no Shringara in the world that's as beautiful as that. Because Prabhupada said that those deities are not deities. He said they're actually Krishna and Balaram there. There's actually Radha and Shyam Sundar there. So he gave us this access because he is Srila Prabhupada. And that's why the scriptures say that even the thought of going to Vrindavan, so not actually reaching there, but even the thought of going to Vrindavan means that you've performed more than 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices. Even after doing that, people don't get the thought of going to Vrindavan. Just that, all of us on this call right now, we're thinking that, oh, I should go. Just that thought means that each one of us is very, very fortunate. And Prabhupada has made that fortune. So that's the glories of Vrindavan Dham, and particularly Radha Kunda. And so when we go there, we should bathe with great care. Some devotees do bathe in the Kunda. They cite that Prabhupada did. And their main point is either way, Achman or that. What Prabhupada's point was that when you bathe in Radha Kund, bathe with reverence. And he saw that some devotees were starting to splash in Radha Kund and swim across and treat it like a swimming pool. And that's what Prabhupada didn't want. So we have to bathe there very carefully. We have to bathe there in the mood of great reverence and gratefulness that I'm having this opportunity that no one else in the universe is getting at this moment, to visit this place. And particularly Prabhupada is mentioning the places in the material world, right? So obviously there's Radhakund in the spiritual world, but he's saying the place in the material world of Radhakund is more exalted than Vaikuntha. That we're getting the opportunity to go to a place that's more exalted than Vaikuntha. And that's how grateful we need to be when we visit these places. Okay. By serving Radhakund, Prabhupada says, this is actually the point, the last sentence. By serving Radhakund, one can get an opportunity to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani under the eternal guidance of the gopis. So when we serve Radhakund, by sharing the glories of Radhakund to the whole world, by distributing Nectar of Instruction, by teaching Nectar of Instruction, by studying Nectar of Instruction, by sharing it with others, we actually get the opportunity one day. And we shouldn't we shouldn't expect that it'll come quickly. One day to become an assistant of Srimati Radharani. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that sometimes it can even take millions of lifetimes to move from the platform of bhava to prema. So all of this that we're doing, we're thinking, well, I distributed books for 10 years. I'm still not an assistant of Radharani. The process isn't working. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, well, you do that for 1,000,000 lifetimes, and then you'll become an assistant of Srimati Radharani. Of course, only due to Prabhupada's mercy, we may make it in this lifetime. But we should not doubt the process. I need to keep going with the process. And it may take a few lifetimes, but it's a very small price to pay for the result that we get. Okay, so stop here, open it up for comments, discussion. We have 10 minutes. So. Vijay Nrsimha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for helping us unravel the Nectar of Instruction versus the way you do. In 9 and 10, there were a few descriptions or names used that are not very commonly seen. I was wondering if you could help us elaborate or tell us what exactly they mean. In 9, for Krishna's name, they use Udarapani. Can you explain that one? And then in 10, for the gopis, Pashupala Pankajadrishas.
Okay, so let's go to 9.
Vrindavanam Dharapani.
Yes.
Because in the translation, it just says
Yes.
Lord Krishna. But
yes.
What does that mean exactly?
Vrinda Aranyam Udarapani. Wow. This is a good question. I'll have to do some research and then get back to you on this. This is a very nice question. And this book by Hanumat Preshak Maharaj, he actually has a book on the Nectar of Instruction. That maybe you should discuss it. Let me see this. Pashupala Pankaja Drisha. The gopis were always dependent on Krishna, the cowherd boy. Yeah, this is more obvious, Pashupala Pankaja, so one who takes care of the different animals of Vrindavan. But this
Well,
one
how does that mean that that's the gopis?
So this is referring to the gopis because I think this is drisha, those who are seeing the person who is Krishna, the cowherd boy, right? So again, I have to look at it more deeply into the Sanskrit, but Krishna is being referred to here as Pashupala Pankaja. So the gopis are seeing, and I think this is maybe yes. The gopis are exalted above all the advanced devotees because they are always totally dependent upon Sri Krishna, the transcendental cowherd boy. So here, this phrase is referring to that they're completely dependent, and their dependence, their complete surrender to Krishna is what is their primary characteristic of their exaltedness. And that's being communicated by this Sanskrit phrase, but I'll need to see what are the exact words and why that's being described.
Thank you,
Yes.
Baba.
Thank you. This is a very nice question. Let me just try one thing here. Hmm. 1 second. Here, Prabhupada is translating it as. Yes. And one more here, the previous one. I'm just seeing if there's any other references to this in the Veda base.
Because I wasn't able to see that in the purport either on what Udarapani or how is that Krishna's name or in what sense or what does it describe?
Okay, so in one place it says Pani means hands. So Prabhupada here translates as yeah, so Udarapani is of Lord Krishna. See, it's not a name of Krishna, of Lord Krishna. So what is of Lord Krishna? This one, okay, this one we got clarified. The lotus hand, the divine hand, Udarapani. Pani means hand, Udara means noble or exceptional. Udara means generous, the generous hand of Krishna. So of Lord Krishna, the word for word doesn't get it across. It's the hand of Krishna. They miss that actually in the word for word. So he's lifting Govardhan hill. What's lifting Govardhan hill? The divine hand of Lord Krishna. And that's here in the translation. By the divine hand of Lord Krishna, it's being lifted. So Udarapani is not a name of Krishna, it's referring to the hands of Krishna. Pani means hands. So the hands of Krishna are lifting Govardhan hill.
Got it. Thank
So
you.
that's that one. And then this other one, this is more difficult. Pankaja means lotus. So this Pashu Pala Pankaja Drisha. So those whose maybe lotus eyes are seeing the protector of the cows, Krishna. So it's referring to the gopis, and Pankaja Drisha is referring to the eyes of the gopis who are seeing Pashupala, the protector of the cow. So Pashupala is referring to Krishna. That could be, this like we say Gopala, which is the protector of cows. Here he's being referred to as Pashupala, the protector of the
animals,
which really makes sense because all the animals came under Govardhan Hill at that time, right? Not just the cows, but the deer, everyone came for protection. So he was protecting all the animals.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice words. Bela Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam. Prabhuji, you mentioned about the four Vaishnava Sampradaya.
Yes.
So I was a little confused because what we have known, like it's a Sri Sampradaya and then Madhava Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Kumara Sampradaya. And here it was mentioned that Madhava Sampradaya, they worship only Krishna, not the Radharani. So is it like in the Madhava Sampradaya when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, that's how he introduced worshipping Radha and Krishna both after?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's why we're known as the Gaudiya, the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. We're not just known as the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, but we're known as the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya because absolutely you're right. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu adds the worship of Radha Rani to Krishna worship, right?
And which one is Vallabh Sampradaya then?
Vallabha Sampradaya is based from Vallabhacharya, not Madhvacharya, but Vallabhacharya. And Vallabhacharya wrote a tika on the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which Prabhupada says is an authorized tika. Same like Madhvacharya, he also writes a commentary. Tika means commentary on Bhagavatam. They're all bona fide. But Vallabhacharya's focus is on Yashoda's love for Krishna. He says Vatsalya Ras is the highest because that's his own mood. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give Madhurya Ras. Right? So the
So does
Madhurya
that
Ras. Yes. Go ahead.
does that Vallabha Sampradaya falls under these four main category of those Sampradayas, like Shri and then Madhava and Rudra or Kumara Sampradaya? No?
No. Vallabha Sampradaya. I see. Um, Vallabha Sampradaya is separate from Madhva and Shri, which is Ramanujacharya's. But Vallabha Sampradaya does have another name also. I think Vallabha Sampradaya is the same as a Kumara Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya. I cannot remember. So maybe someone does remember on the call. So Vallabha Sampradaya has another name also, just like Madhva Sampradaya is the Brahma Sampradaya, coming from Brahma.
Yes.
Ramanujacharya Sampradaya is the Shri Sampradaya, coming from Lakshmi Devi. And the part I can't remember is Vallabhacharya's is either Rudra
Or
or
Kumara.
Kumara, and Nimbarka is either Rudra Kumara. So which one, Nimbarka or there, that I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Ritesh Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Jai.
I had a question. So you mentioned out of surrender is like to Krishna is.
Prabhu, I cannot hear you. Sorry.
So Prabhu, you mentioned out of all the devotees,
Yes.
what else his life to Krishna is superior. So what this surrender actually means, and how can we surrender, or how can we follow the footsteps of those who surrender?
So I just missed the first part. Among all the devotees, who is supreme, you said?
The one who surrenders his life to Krishna.
Ah, right. Well, and that's what the gopis are showing by example, is that the highest surrender is completely selfless love for Krishna. And why is it selfless? Because what is the difference? And actually, nice point, it actually clarifies this even more, that the queens of Vrindavan, they want Krishna. They want to serve Krishna, but they insist on his association, that Krishna must be here for me. Like they want Krishna, but they want Krishna for themselves. But the gopis are so selfless that they think that if it gives Krishna more pleasure to be in Dwarka than to be with us, or if it gives Krishna more pleasure to be with another gopi than with me, then that is my pleasure. Right? So their love for Krishna is so pure that they're even willing to give up the association of Krishna for Krishna's pleasure. Right? And that's the preaching spirit. That's why Prabhupada said that preaching Krishna consciousness is in the mood of the gopis. The other, like in Dwarka, like the wives and the ministers and all the devotees of Krishna there, they're attached to Krishna's association. Krishna must be with them. They want Krishna, and Krishna's with them, and whether or not the rest of the world has it, it's not so important. Or Krishna's happiness is not it is, but it's not. Krishna's happiness is with them. That's their conception. But the gopis are so deep in their devotion that they always have one eye towards Krishna, but they have one eye towards the conditioned souls or towards the other gopis, that how can we draw them into their service for Krishna. It's said that Srimati Radharani feels 1,000,000 times more happiness when she brings another gopi to Krishna than if she herself serves Krishna. And that shows the purity of her love. Which girl will feel more happiness when another girl dances with her boyfriend? They will be miserable. They will be angry. But she externally sometimes shows that anger as a way to increase Krishna's love, because Krishna is more popular when there's multiple people wanting him. right? That gives Krishna pleasure when the gopis are fighting over him, right? So she does that as part of the Leela, but in the depths of her heart, she feels greater pleasure when another gopi is serving Krishna than if she herself is serving Krishna.
Okay. Thank you so much for explaining.
Yes. No, thank you for the nice question. Okay, so perfect timing. We're at the end. So Haripriya, you can please give the summary. That'd be so nice.
Just a minute. Okay, so Mathura is less superior than Vrindavan, and because of Krishna's Ras Leela and Govardhan, it is even greater because it gives pleasure to the devotees. Govardhan also knows how to please Krishna, and even superior than that is Radhakund, which stands the supreme because it is full of nectarian prema of the Lord. And all of these places are superior than the spiritual world. And then we can see that you told about Radha Kund, that how it is very sensitive, and we should not bathe in it because it's not ordinary, and it's considered to be the body of Radharani. And then we can see that how he told about different types of people, that the first are karmis, like who do like karma or action, and gyanis who have knowledge, but this knowledge is not about the supreme personality of Godhead. This is like knowledge about like material things. And then mukti is liberation, and then bhakta is devotees, and then prema bhakta is pure devotee, and gopis is like is like ponti like they like love Krishna, and Radharani is like she loves Krishna like in pure love. And then we can see that Radha Kund, you came back to Radha Kund, that house very special to Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and so it is the highest, and it is and yeah, it's very, and it's also advised that one should live on the banks of Radha Kund. But it is but Prabhupada says that we should be careful, because if we live, like bad thoughts can come to our mind. And yeah, and then you also said that how Rup Goswami, he ends this by the 11,000 verses, and the second last one and the last one, they're dedicated to Radha Kund. So that's why Radha Kund is really important. Thank you for
Thank you. Such a nice summary, Haripriya. Always, you bring it all together so that we can take some of the key points. Thank you, everyone, for joining. As I mentioned, I graded the exams, and then one or two of you wrote to me saying that my exam was not graded. So thank you for that, resending that. If you're in the similar situation where any exam is not graded, or you need the certificate now because you've completed all the books and you're just joining for association, then please write to me, and I will try to do the needful. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandavati
Thank you,
Pranam.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Dandavad Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.